traveled far. I've been around. Now I'm back.
Tommy back.
Yeah, I am.
Episode 1 of Power Legacy wastes no time showing us that Tommy's problems from Force have not gone away. They've only grown. At the end of Force Season 2, Tommy was left broken after Miguel kidnapped Mia, his one true love. That betrayal cut deep, and Tommy's rage is now boiling over. But if you think Miguel is the only enemy waiting in the shadows, think again. Claudia Flynn still pulls strings from prison, Merkovich's organization has unfinished business, and King Kilo is making his move after being locked up for too long. Add in Shanti, Jard, and Vic, who would stab Tommy in the back at the very first chance, and you begin to realize just how impossible this fight has become. For the first time in his life, Tommy knows that even his brutal strength isn't enough. He needs someone who understands the game as much as he does. That's when Tariq steps in. By the time Tariq enters Legacy, he is no longer the boy struggling to live up to Ghost's name. He has become Ghost. Everything he built in Power Book 2, Ghost Season 4, prepared him for this moment. He controls supply through Noma's brother, he has Detective Nico in his pocket, he has Brayden and Effie handling business, and Davis keeping him protected in the courts. Tariq is not just a player anymore. He is the mastermind. And when Tommy calls, Tariq answers. This sets up the most dangerous partnership in the history of Power. Ghost's son and Ghost's brother-in-arms fighting side by side in a war where every enemy wants their head. The brilliance of Episode 1 lies in how it reconnects these two worlds. Tariq steps into Chicago not as a lost kid needing help, but as a leader bringing his own empire with him. Tommy, battered and surrounded by enemies, finally accepts what he never wanted to admit. He can't do this alone. The streets of Chicago are burning, and the alliances we see forming here will set the stage for everything that happens next. Diamond and D-Mac stand firm on Tommy's side, but even with their loyalty, the weight of this battle feels too heavy. And that's the suspense of the first section of Legacy. Tommy and Tariq, once bound only by Ghost, are now bound by survival. But survival won't come easy. Enemies like Claudia and Miguel are not just looking to fight. They want to destroy everything Tommy has ever loved. They want him broken, humiliated, erased from the streets. Tariq knows this world too well. Betrayal is always closer than you think. And though he stands with Tommy, a dark question hangs over Episode 1. What happens when Tariq's ambition clashes with Tommy's control? We've seen Ghost and Tommy destroy each other over power before. Will history repeat itself? Or will this new bond be unbreakable? Episode 1 forces us to confront that uncertainty with every move, every alliance, every whispered betrayal that lurks in the shadows. What makes Episode 1 of Power Legacy so gripping is that it doesn't just throw Tommy and Tariq into the same room and call it a reunion. It shows us the weight of everything that brought them here. Tommy has always been the enforcer, the street soldier who lives by blood and vengeance, while Tariq has become the quiet strategist who manipulates the game from the inside. On paper, they should be unstoppable. But the truth is, they also mirror the same fatal flaws that destroyed Ghost and Tommy years ago. Tommy acts on emotion, Tariq on calculation, and together this creates a tension that could either make them kings or bury them before the war even begins. From the very start of Episode 1, you feel the storm brewing between these two men, a storm that no alliance can fully contain. The most terrifying part of this new chapter is how crowded the battlefield already is. Miguel still has Mia, and that means Tommy's heart and his rage are chained to Miguel's every move. If there's one thing Tommy can't control, it's his emotions when someone he loves is in danger, and Miguel knows this better than anyone. He will use Mia like a weapon, pushing Tommy to make mistakes, luring him into traps, and forcing him to spill blood recklessly. And Miguel isn't alone. His sister Claudia may be behind bars, but her influence stretches far beyond prison walls. She has money, she has loyal soldiers, and she has revenge burning in her chest. The betrayal she suffered at Tommy's hands, the knife that cut her trust, will not be forgiven. Even from a cell, Claudia Flynn can shake an empire. Meanwhile, Merkovich is quietly rebuilding his power. Everyone thought his operations were dead, but if power has taught us anything, it's that no villain stays down for long. Merkovich has connections in places Tommy doesn't see coming. Judges, corrupt cops, and rival gangs waiting for the right moment to strike. And then comes King Kilo, the wild card nobody is ready for. After prison, after years of waiting, he is back with a single mission: to take revenge for his nephew and to rip CBI apart piece by piece. His fury is old school, relentless, and personal. He isn't just another rival. He's a ghost from the past returned to haunt Tommy's every move. And as if these weren't enough, lurking in the shadows are Shanti, Jard, and Vic, ready to flip sides the second Tommy slips, ready to sell him out for their own survival. This is why Tariq's presence is so powerful. Alone, Tommy would already be swallowed by enemies closing in from every direction. But with Tariq stepping into Chicago, the game changes. Tariq doesn't just bring brains, he brings order. His network is tight, efficient, and ruthless. Braden's loyalty, Effie's cold precision, Davis's protection in court, and Nico's shield in the police department form the backbone of Tariq's empire. Together with Tommy's raw firepower, they look like an unstoppable force. But deep down, both men know it's not enough. Too many enemies, too many betrayals waiting to happen, too many ghosts of the past clawing at their future. The first episode of Legacy is all about this tension, the balance between strength and weakness, loyalty and betrayal. Diamond and D-Mac add layers of loyalty to Tommy's side, but even their devotion comes at a cost. D-Mac is young, reckless, and eager to prove himself. His rise as a gangster has made him fearless, but also dangerous. He's not just following Tommy anymore, he's carving his own path, and that could collide with Tariq's authority. Diamond, on the other hand, is older, wiser, but also tired of endless wars. He wants stability, but in a world where blood buys power, peace might be the most dangerous dream of all. And here lies the heart of Episode 1's suspense. Everyone is walking a razor's edge. Tommy wants revenge, Tariq wants control, Diamond wants peace, D-Mac wants respect, and their enemies want them all dead. The alliances they form in this first chapter will decide everything, but one wrong step could send the entire empire crashing down. For the audience, it's a thrill ride of constant questions. Who will betray first? Who will die first? And most importantly, can Tommy and Tariq truly trust each other? Or is this partnership destined to collapse under the same weight that destroyed Ghost and Tommy years before? What Episode 1 of Power Legacy does so brilliantly is remind us that survival in this universe isn't about who pulls the trigger first. It's about who can outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast. And while Tommy has the muscle to tear down anyone in his way, Tariq brings the kind of vision that reshapes the battlefield completely. The two together are a storm, but even storms can be swallowed by the ocean. That ocean, in this case, is the overwhelming number of enemies who aren't just waiting to fight, they're waiting to strike with precision. Miguel, Claudia, Merkovich, and King Kilo all want Tommy dead for their own reasons, and each of them has enough power to cause chaos. Episode 1 feels like the opening moves of a massive chess game, where every piece is dangerous, and one wrong move could mean total destruction. And yet, as much as the enemies are dangerous, there's something far more unsettling building in the shadows: ambition. Tariq is no longer a boy who looks up to men like Ghost, or fears men like Tommy. He has stepped into the role of Ghost himself, and with that comes hunger. Tariq wants more than Chicago, more than survival. He wants an empire that stretches beyond one city, and you can see it in every decision he makes in this first episode. Tommy, meanwhile, is still holding on to Chicago like it's his last chance at redemption. He wants revenge, yes, but he also wants to prove he can own a city on his own terms. This difference in vision is what makes their alliance so thrilling and so fragile. From the very first moments of Legacy, you can feel the possibility of betrayal hanging in the air, not just from enemies, but from each other. This becomes even clearer when the episode teases the possibility of a new setting. We already know 50 Cent has hinted at London as the next big expansion for the Power universe, and episode 1 plants those seeds. Tariq, fresh off proving himself in New York, sees London as the ultimate opportunity. A city rich with history, flooded with criminal empires, and ripe for takeover. He knows that the US has already been conquered and burned by Ghost, Kanan, and Tommy, but London is untouched ground. For Tariq, it's not just about surviving Chicago, it's about stepping into the global stage. And though Tommy might resist at first, the promise of a fresh battlefield, a new chance to build something with no ghosts chasing him, tempts even him. Episode 1 lets us feel that tension. Will their partnership stay chained to Chicago's bloody streets, or will it evolve into something much bigger? But London isn't just a dream, it's a threat. The first episode makes it clear that the criminal world in Europe is not the same as the one in America. London's underworld is older, more established, and less forgiving. It's not just gangs fighting for corners. It's families, mafias, entire organizations with roots that stretch across continents. And when Tommy and Tariq step into this new arena, the villains won't just be rivals, they'll be kings who have ruled for generations. Episode 1 shows us glimpses of this future, enough to make us wonder if Tommy and Tariq have finally met their match. Because in London, the game doesn't reset, it only gets deadlier. Still, there's another theory that episode 1 teases. Los Angeles? If London is the global stage, then LA is the land of old ghosts. Imagine Tommy and Tariq stepping into the West Coast only to find enemies waiting for them there too. Claudia rebuilding her empire, Cristobal out of prison and stronger than ever, and maybe even the Tejadas resurfacing to settle their own scores. Episode 1 doesn't confirm where they'll go, but it plays with these possibilities, dangling them in front of the audience like a loaded gun. Wherever they end up, one thing is clear. Chicago is only the beginning. This war isn't about one city anymore, it's about who owns the future of the Power universe itself. And that's what makes Legacy feel different. It's not just another spin-off or another story of drugs and betrayal, it's the collision of two legacies. Tommy's war for survival and Tariq's hunger for power. Episode 1 builds this foundation with ruthless precision, showing us every crack in their alliance, every enemy sharpening their knife, and every opportunity waiting to be seized. By the time the credits roll, you don't feel relief, you feel dread, because you know that this is only the start, and if this is what the first episode looks like, the war ahead will destroy everything we thought we knew about Power. What really makes episode 1 of Power Legacy stand apart is how it doesn't just bring back old faces and unresolved rivalries, it creates new dangers that feel even deadlier. The writers know that fans of Power crave the familiar chaos of betrayals and shifting alliances, but they also know that to raise the stakes, the enemies must be more ruthless than anything Tommy or Tariq have ever faced. Episode 1 begins planting seeds for these new villains, powerful figures waiting in London, Los Angeles, and even hidden within Chicago itself. The terrifying reality is that Tommy and Tariq don't just have to deal with enemies from their past, they have to face monsters they've never seen before, enemies who don't care about their history, only about crushing their future. And this is where the suspense begins to suffocate the story. Tariq may believe he is ready, but episode 1 shows us that his ambition could also be his weakness. He has the mind of Ghost, yes, but he is still young, and every alliance he builds comes with a cost. Effie might be loyal now, but her history of betrayal proves she can never fully be trusted. Brayden is loyal to Tariq, but Brayden's heart sometimes clouds his judgment. And loyalty in the world of Power is the most fragile thing of all. Even Davis, the lawyer who protects him, is ultimately motivated by money, and money runs out. Episode 1 forces us to question every single person around Tariq, who is truly loyal and who is waiting for the right moment to sell him out. For Tommy, the situation is even darker. His world has always been painted in blood, and the people closest to him, Diamond, D-Mac, even Maria, are all standing in the line of fire. One wrong decision could mean their lives, and Tommy knows his enemies will use every single one of them as leverage. The emotional weight in episode 1 is heavy, because it forces Tommy and Tariq to stare into the mirror of their past. Tariq cannot escape the shadow of Ghost, no matter how much he builds, and Tommy cannot escape the trail of blood that follows him everywhere. Together they might finally conquer Chicago, or they might repeat the same mistakes that destroyed Ghost and Tommy's brotherhood years ago. The show plays with this parallel constantly, reminding the audience that history has a way of repeating itself. And if betrayal tore Ghost and Tommy apart, could the same fate be waiting for Tommy and Tariq? That lingering question hangs over every interaction, making the tension unbearable. But beyond the personal conflicts, Episode 1 also paints a bigger picture, the war for the future of the power universe. London tempts Tariq with the chance to become more than Ghost ever was, to rule on a global scale. LA tempts Tommy with the chance to settle old scores and prove he still owns the streets. And Chicago is the battlefield that could either crown them kings or bury them both. The suspense is not just about who wins and who loses, it's about what kind of men Tommy and Tariq will become in this war. Will Tommy finally find peace, or will he drown in vengeance? Will Tariq rise as the new Ghost, or will his ambition destroy him before he ever gets the crown? Episode 1 doesn't answer these questions. It only sharpens them. Every conversation, every alliance, every whispered threat feels like the beginning of a chain reaction that will explode later. The villains are circling, the allies are restless, and the streets are ready to bleed. The audience is left wondering not if someone will betray, but who and when. That's the brilliance of Power Legacy. It never lets you rest, never gives you certainty. It keeps you on the edge, forcing you to doubt every character, every move, every word spoken. And by the end of Episode 1, it's clear that Tommy and Tariq are not just fighting for territory, they are fighting for their very survival against an entire world that wants to see them fall. The stage is now set, and Power Legacy Episode 1 leaves no doubt that this will not be just another chapter in the Power universe. It is a war story, a survival story, and a twisted tale of loyalty, betrayal, and legacy. Tommy and Tariq together represent both the past and the future of this empire. But every choice they make creates enemies faster than they can count. The final stretch of the premiere makes it clear that Ghost's shadow still follows Tariq, and the streets still whisper Tommy's name with both fear and respect. Together, they are unstoppable, but apart, they are vulnerable, and their enemies know it. Episode 1 cleverly reminds the audience that every character has secrets, and secrets have a way of destroying even the strongest alliances. As the credits roll, one thing is certain: Power Legacy is not playing it safe. The first episode proves that the writers are willing to push boundaries, break old rules, and create new legends. The threats are bigger, the enemies are smarter, and the battles ahead will demand sacrifices neither Tommy nor Tariq is ready to face. The streets don't forgive, and loyalty has an expiration date in this world. Fans are left with a mixture of adrenaline, shock, and burning questions. Who will rise, who will fall, and who will bleed before this war is over? With Tommy and Tariq standing side by side, Episode 1 leaves us all breathless, because deep down we know the truth. Their fight against the world has only just begun, and the world is already striking back.